the record, my name is Gabriela Coletta, District 1 City Councilor. I'm the chair of the Boston City Council Committee on Government Operations. Today is March 19th, 2024. This hearing is being recorded. It is also being live streamed at boston.gov/city-council-TV and broadcasted on Xfinity Channel 8, RCN Channel 82, Fios Channel 964, and Fios Channel 964. Written comments may be sent to the committee email at ccc.go@boston.gov and will be made a part of the record and available to all councilors. Public testimony will be taken at the end of this hearing. Individuals will be called on in the order in which they signed up and will have 2 minutes to testify. If you are interested in testifying in person, please add your name to the sign-up sheet near the entrance of the chamber. If you are looking to testify virtually, please email our Central Staff Liaison, Megan Kavanaugh, at Megan, MEGHAN.Kavanaugh, KAVANAGH, at boston.gov for the link, and your name will be added to the list. Today's hearing is on a message in order for the council's approval, an ordinance amending City of Boston Code, Ordinances Chapter 12, Section 12-3.5, Senior Citizen Property Tax Work-Off Abatement. The matter was sponsored by the administration and was referred to the committee on January 24th, 2024. I've been joined by my colleague, Councilor Ed Flynn. Hopefully we have some councilors coming in to review this important program as well. I'll pass it to Councilor Flynn if you have any opening remarks at this time.
Thank you, Councilor Coletta. I will be brief. I want to say thank you to the City Administration for being here. I want to thank you, Councilor Coletta, for conducting this meeting. I have worked on similar issues in the past with my former council colleague, Lydia Edwards, on how we can ensure that seniors are treated fairly and that there's always a Boston for them to stay here. Especially as it relates to the challenging aspects of paying property tax, trying to ensure that seniors are aware of every opportunity to participate in various programs such as this, which is an outstanding program. Again, want to say thank you to the chair and to the administration personnel that are here as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn, for being here, and thank you for your work. I remember that initiative, which was so important, that took place, I think, in 2019 to 2020. This is a really important program as the cost of living rises everywhere, not just in the city of Boston. I've been hearing that seniors are struggling to pay their taxes, just pay monthly bills. And a lot of them are house rich and cash poor. We hear that a lot, especially of folks in my district, and I'm sure elsewhere in the city of Boston. And this program is so important, and my understanding is that this is an opt-in. This is something that lives in state law. We don't have to get into that if we don't want to, but it's something that lives in state law, and we had opted into it thanks to the leadership of Councilor Consalvo in 2006. And so we've continuously extended this program, which I think is great, and now what this seeks to do is to make the program permanent, to update the name of the program, to increase the work-off amount, which is welcomed, and thank you so much for that, expand eligibility guidelines, and remove the cap on participants. So very excited to hear more about this program, learn about it, and I'll pass it over to folks from the administration who are testifying on behalf of this docket. First, it's Melissa Carlson, who is the Deputy Commissioner of Programs and Partnerships at the Elderly Commission, and Joseph Goncalves, Director of Volunteer Programs at the Elderly Commission. I'll pass it to you in your preferred order to give opening remarks.
Perfect, thank you. Good morning, Councilor Coletta and Councilor Flynn. As mentioned, Melissa Carlson, Senior Director of Programs and Partnerships at Age Strong. I also bring greetings from Commissioner Shea. She is speaking on a panel today at a conference for older adults about scams and fraud, but asked me to send her thanks to you for considering this proposal. As we know, older adults are one of the fastest growing segments of our community. In 2020, we had 115,000 people over the age of 60 and projections show that by 2030, that number will grow close to 140,000. In addition, the Elder Index, which is a measure of elder economic security, that shows in Boston more than 70% of singles age 65 and older who live alone in Boston, and that 45% of older Bostonian couples do not have sufficient funds to cover necessary expenses. So this means we need to have all of our tools in a toolbox to keep our older residents living where they want to be, which is in their neighborhoods where they have friends, family, and support. That is why we're here today to talk about the Senior Citizen Property Tax Work-Off Abatement, which is one of those tools. We are recommending several amendments to that program to make it easier for older adults to access and for it to be more impactful. We would first of all like to update the name of the program from Senior Citizen Property Tax Work-Off Abatement to Older Adult Property Tax Work-Off Abatement Program. We would like to increase the maximum amount, worked-off amount from $1,500 to $2,000 to align with the updated state law, which is a provision of the new tax law. We would like to increase income guidelines. Currently, they are set at $40,000 for an individual and $55,000 for a couple. We are proposing to move that to 60% of the area median income as determined by HUD. This will do two things. First, it will increase the income guideline, and for this year, it would be $62,340 for an individual and $71,280 for a couple. And then secondly, we'd also like to keep the income limits updated as the area median income increases and changes yearly. We would also like to remove the cap of the number of older residents who participate. Right now, that cap is set at 100. We would like the cap removed to allow for participants who qualify and apply for the program. Finally, we would like to make this a permanent program instead of a program requiring renewal every 5 years. Thank you for your consideration of this proposal. We are excited about these changes and expanding the access and impact of this program. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Do you have any opening statements?
Joseph, Volunteer Program Director, just happy to be here and happy to answer any questions.
Awesome. I just want to call out that we've been given an absence letter by Councilor at Large and Council President Ruth C. Louis-Jean. I'll read it into the record. Dear Chair Coletta, I regret to inform you I will be unable to attend the Government Operations Committee hearing on Docket 0256. I support this City of Boston Code amendment as it will update the Senior Citizen Property Tax Work-Off Abatement Program by increasing the abatement amount, expand eligibility guidelines, and remove the cap on participants and make this a permanent program. This will ultimately give our seniors more fiscal tools to preserve and stay in their homes. I look forward to reviewing the material from this hearing and participating in future conversations. Should you or the public have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out to my office directly. Sincerely, Ruth C. Louis-Jean. I will now pass it to Councilor Flynn if you have any questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, thank you to the administration team that is here discussing this important program. Can you talk about the outreach that you would provide to educate residents of the city about the program, how they participate in the program, what steps are necessary for them to take to enroll in the program, and where can they find out specifically where to do some of these volunteer outreach efforts?
Thank you, Councilor. In terms of outreach, our Boston Seniority Magazine, which sends out 15,000 copies a month, is our biggest way of pushing the program. And then we're also out in the community, whether it's at resource fair, senior centers, or community centers across the city, promoting all of our volunteer programs, but also this one on an annual basis. In addition to that, folks can call into our office. The application is updated annually, so folks have to, we do a lot of outreach on any changes. And then in terms of where they can volunteer, if there is a place that an older adult would like to volunteer, as long as it's a city department, we can look into placing them in the community or at a city department of their interest.
Okay. What would the income that a senior citizen would need to have that would allow them to participate in this program? You know, they're on fixed income, probably including Social Security and maybe even a retirement plan. But is there like a maximum number of maximum income they could make that would possibly disqualify them from participating in the program?
So yes, we're proposing to change the current income limits, so it would be 60% of the AMI as determined by HUD. And so for an individual, that would be $62,340. And for a couple, that would be $71,280. And then we're also proposing that we're able to change this yearly as the AMI changes.
So if a couple that were retired and they had their annual income, including a pension, including Social Security or retirement, if that was over $71,000, that would preclude them from participating?
Correct.
Okay. What would, I want to see how this would impact city workers, retired city workers. So if we say the average salary of a city worker is, the average retirement, I should say, of a city worker is, say, $50,000. And then maybe the spouse gets another retirement at $20,000 or $22,000. Not a lot of retirement, in my opinion, but that would preclude that couple from participating in the program, though.
If they were over the $71,000, yes. $280, yes.
Would we factor in or consider any special cases where someone may have given 30 years, 40 years as a dedicated city employee, and maybe there might be an exception to be made for a retired city employee that invested their money, lived in the city, helped build the city, lived here their whole life. They might be a couple $1,000 over the $71,000 limit, but certainly they are struggling. Even a couple on $71,000 that's retired, that's pretty difficult to make ends meet, in my opinion.
That is an interesting concept, and we can look back at the state regulation, and because that's what guides the program right now, and see what changes and what flexibility we have.
Oh, Boston would not unilaterally have the ability to go higher than $71,000?
We are the ones proposing the 60% AMI, and so I just need to look into it more.
Oh, okay, no, I
I
understand.
would look into it more for you.
Yeah, I understand. I just wouldn't want to preclude city employees that are just a little above that $71,000 range, especially as a married couple. And that program would not be available to them to participate in. Is that something we could have a further discussion on, Madam Chair?
I really like that idea.
Okay.
Special consideration for city employees. We'd have to have some parameters and stipulations, and obviously we'd have to make sure it aligns with the state law that we are opting into. But I would love to include something for city employees. I would like to see a threshold of potentially 15, 20, 30 years, but I think that it's an excellent idea.
Okay. I have no further questions. Again, want to say thank you to the panelists for the important work you're doing, working hard professionally for the residents of Boston. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. I have asked Councilor Aaron Murphy, Councilor Tanya Fernandez-Anderson if they have opening remarks. They passed on that. Councilor Fitzgerald, would you like to provide any opening remarks at all?
We'll stay consistent and keep moving along. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, great. I want to say thank you to my colleague, Councilor Flynn, for uplifting that. I would love to provide some provision in here for city employees. I think that that's great, especially if they've given their professional careers in service of the city, or any public service employees for that matter, whether they're City of Boston or Massachusetts state employees. I think that that could also be considered as well. I really like the fact that you're expanding the pool of eligibility to AMI for 60% or 60% of AMI. There's a lot of folks who, yes, are in deep poverty, but there's that cliff effect where you really need that soft landing to provide more relief for folks, and this program does that. I want to give a shout out to Michelle Modica, who is the sister of my predecessor, Diane Modica, who came to our office as part of this program in the hopes of doing a flood project. And she was the first one to open my eyes up to the floodplains that were in East Boston that her home was impacted by, or is impacted by, and talking about tax relief through that, and it was great. And so I've seen the benefits of this program. And so I want to be sure to continue it. I really appreciate your question for the outreach program, or outreach for the program in general. I would love to know how many seniors are taking advantage of this now. Do you have any benchmarks based on some of the changes within this ordinance that you'd like to hit, since we are expanding the pool of eligibility? And then also curious about opportunities for seniors with disabilities, as well as for those who do not speak English. How do you provide accommodations for them to take advantage of the program?
So in terms of the, can you repeat that first question, please?
Sure. Just how many seniors are taking advantage of this
Sure,
now?
yes,
And are there
okay.
benchmarked metrics of success for how many folks you hope to have signed up within the year or 2 years?
Yeah, in terms of like a benchmark, I think, 100 has always been what we've tried to go after. In terms of last year, most recently, we had 72 applicants, and out of those 72, 48 were approved and 42 were able to get the abatement with qualified hours across the city. In terms of folks who may come in with another language, we try to accommodate them, whether it's at a BCYF and there's an opportunity there. But I will say we haven't had many that have come in, but we try to do more outreach on the program to get folks to come on. And same thing with folks who may have a disability. It's about finding a partner station, whether it's a BCYF or a Boston Public School or a city department. In this case, we are partnered with the Disabilities Commission, so a lot of folks who may come in that have a disability will try to find a connection there, or as I mentioned, at another department of their interest. We really rely on them to tell us what they're interested in, and then we try to accommodate them that way in terms of placement.
Thank you so much for that, and please depend on us for outreach. We have our own
Yes.
networks, and so if there's a flyer that we could share, both in person and online. I know that there are seniors who are online and who really utilize it as a tool to get information. Please consider us partners in that. I'll pass it over to, I forget who came in first, I'm so sorry. I think it was Councilor Fernandez-Anderson, if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Good morning.
Good morning.
I guess, what is the timeline being considered for implementation?
So normally this program begins in January. So we're a few months behind with changes to the program, but normally the way that it works is applications are updated annually and then approved, and then older adults can apply, and as soon as they are eligible and query cleared, they can start volunteering for the city. It starts in January and runs through November of each year.
Okay, thank you so much. How can we measure it? Like, do we have a plan to, in any way, are we going to publicize this? Are we going to say, here's a status of what we're doing, or how can we measure the success of this?
So each year we do share information with the assessing department, so people can get their abatements. So we are always looking at the total number of hours that people have served on average and as a whole. We're looking at who has served, what neighborhoods they've been in. And then as part of this, there's also some requirements for us to share information with the city clerk's department. Again, a lot of qualitative information around number of hours, quantity of abatements, total abatement value, and that kind of stuff. What we personally are looking at is who's serving some of those demographics, but then we're also looking at who our partners are and what city departments are taking on some of our volunteers and where we can do more work to bring in more partners for the program. Because the more partners we have, we can place more seniors.
Okay, thank you. By the way, like, I'm always excited when it's something that I really, really, really love and agree with, obviously. And I just think this is fantastic. In District 7, and particularly Roxbury, I heard a lot about, when are we going to get this opportunity? So just wondering, how are you campaigning to get the information to our residents?
So we do send it out to everyone that's inquired about the program in the past, whether they were able to apply, able to participate. So we have a good set of people that we're reaching out to. Then, as Joseph stated earlier, we're also publicizing it in Boston Seniority Magazine. It's on the website as well. When Joseph's volunteer team goes out throughout the year to talk about all of our volunteer opportunities, they're also talking about this property tax work-off program as well as another resource for seniors.
So we're talking about seniors, right? Not always being able to access information, especially digitally. Are there any plans to, doing some sort of campaigning door to door or citywide sort of outreach?
I'll just note that one thing that we do in partnership with ABCD, so annually we do a mailing to all homeowners on their fuel assistance list, which is about 1,500 older adult homeowners that receive a flyer with the program and then an application if they are eligible to apply. And then in addition to that, as Melissa mentioned, we do rely on being out in the community a lot to tell folks about this program. And one thing that I've noticed about older adults, you tell one, they tell another, and that's been sort of what's been successful about all of our volunteer programs, but we could definitely do more outreach. We can keep that in mind as well if that may be an avenue for the future.
Thank you. If I was to explain, and I apologize that I was late, if I was to explain this to my constituents, to give me the rundown, the short and sweet, simple version of what this is, how does it work?
So the property tax work-off program is a program for eligible homeowners 60 plus. It gives them the opportunity to provide their skills and knowledge to the city of Boston, and in exchange they receive a property tax reduction of $1,500 as of today, but hopefully trying to increase that to $2,000.
Okay, thank you so much. I think it's pretty straightforward. If we could do more, we would, right? And so it's a great start. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Fernandez-Anderson. Councilor Erin Murphy.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for being here. I do just want to start by sending out prayers to Officer Falco, who was shot last night, who is home resting. Hopefully will be okay, and all of his colleagues in B3 and across the city. He's only been on the force for less than 2 years, and thank goodness for his vest that he's still alive and with us. So I do just want to put that out there. Thank you. And thank you to my colleagues. You've uplifted already some important questions, and I know when we had the Age Strong grant hearing, this was one of the topics that came out. You do a lot of wonderful, amazing things for our seniors, and the questions I think you hear most from us is how are we letting our seniors know about it? And so I know you've already touched on that. One question I have is I've seen our seniors, some of them work down at the Welcome Center downstairs. I've seen them at community centers. And for many, I see it as an opportunity for like the isolation we talk about and just an opportunity to be in community, and it's wonderful for their spirits and feeling, you know, when you get older, our culture unfortunately sometimes devalues our seniors who have worked their whole life and have given so much to their families, this city, this world. So it's important for them to see that they're still valued. And although I know this is specific to homeowners who we talk often about of, you know, displacement and rising taxes. So how much can we expand though? Like how much do you think the city can afford to continue to expand? At what point have we offered it to too many, right? I think of our youth summer jobs. I feel like pay now or pay later, and the later cost is much more. So how much do we have a figure where we're saying, okay, now we've gone too far, we've been too successful?
When we spoke to the Commissioner of Assessing, he reassured us that the projected costs are reasonable within the benefits to older adults. And so at this point in time, he's not concerned about the program going over any maximum amounts.
That's great. One other thing, many of our seniors aren't homeowners. So just a quick question about the volunteer program. Is this go hand in hand with other opportunities that we offer seniors who also want to volunteer, just for the social part of it?
Yeah, so this program is unique in that, as you mentioned, it is for homeowners, but we do offer 2 AmeriCorps senior volunteer programs, which are impact-driven volunteer opportunities for older adults 55 plus in the city. And they're doing companionship in our community center, so leading and engaging activities in ESL classes, tax preparation, museums and hospitals across the city. So there are many ways to get involved. This is the only one that is requires a little more having to be a homeowner in the city, but we do manage 4 volunteer programs, so anybody who's interested can join us and volunteer with us.
Okay. I still really like you, but you just made me feel old because next year I can sign up for that.
Yeah.
You'll see me volunteering at the Museum of Fine Arts next year. No, but thank you, and always thank you for all you do, and whatever we can do on the council to help get the word out. I know that the water abatement and all of the other programs, when people don't know about it, it really makes a difference, and they're so thankful that it, you know, it helps in that monthly cost of, you know, on a fixed income. So thank you always for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Murphy. Councilor Fitzgerald.
Yes, thank you guys very much for your time today. Really appreciate it. All for this increase. So this is a beautiful thing. Thank you for coming to explain it, educate me about it, educate my colleagues as well. One question, I look at the person's income is not to exceed 60% AMI to be eligible, correct? Mm-hmm. I assume that's in retirement as well. If retirement, you know, if you're no longer working and your income is based on retirement benefits, the retirement is still the 60% AMI. Mm-hmm. All right, just want to make sure who I know who to explain this to. Yeah. And for folks, do you have to live in the home that you own? I know some folks might own property still, but maybe be in the care of another area. Does it still apply to them if they are able to participate and volunteer? Do you just have to be the homeowner, or do you have to live within the property?
Yes, so it has to be your primary residence, and you have to have occupied it for 3 years to be eligible for the program.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. No, I really don't have any further questions that my other colleagues didn't ask. I think it's a great program. Again, support it. I think about my mom who lives at home alone and you know, is retired. That's why I was asking about the 60%. I'm not sure where she stands there, but it doesn't matter. But right about who this helps, who this benefits. And it's a great thing. So thank you very much for coming here to put it forward, and we hope to see it in action soon. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Fitzgerald. I just have 2 follow-up questions based on what my colleagues have asked. So talking about marketing, what is the budget for marketing? Is it a line item that lives in Age Strong? I know you mentioned the mailers that are pushed out every year for fuel assistance. Is it does it supplement that mailer, or should we look to try to increase this budget? for marketing and outreach? Like, what does that look like?
I would say it's just in our overall Age Strong budget, not any specific line items just for this particular program.
Does Age Strong pay for that mailer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, we work with ABCD. They have the names of eligible participants, so we work in conjunction with them. But yes, we pay for the mailer ourselves because we think it's just a great way to try and alert people that are already eligible for the program. But I've loved some of the suggestions that everyone has provided today for outreach and marketing, and we can try and incorporate those in. So if there's other thoughts or ideas, please let us know so we can keep incorporating ways to get the word out.
Thank you. I will just recommend print media. The seniors in my district really do love our local papers,
Yes.
especially in Charlestown. It goes directly to folk stores, the East Boston Times Free Press and the North End Regional Review. But then also thinking about some other outlets, Ethnic Media, El Planeta, El Mundo. Once I start listing off a couple, I know I'm going to miss them, so I'll stop myself. But just please consider that. I know local papers and print media is still really important to those folks. My second question is piggybacking off Councilor Aaron Murphy's question, but the maximum amount that's budgeted, I know the assessor said that will be fine, but what is the projected and or budgeted cost of this program, seeing that we're expanding it and we're not turning anyone away?
And last year, I have last year's number to base it off of. It was around 55,000 is what the abatement was in total for everyone.
And that's total cost?
Total
savings.
cost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody else have any more questions, thoughts, comments? Okay. I do really want to follow up on Councilor Flynn's suggestion about the public service exemption and figure out how we can put that language in there. Again, I just want to shout out Councilor Consalvo. I texted him and said thank you for his leadership back in 2006, and thank you for your leadership and all the work that you put into this program. It really is serving and benefiting the residents of Boston. This is good city government, so we love to see it. I think with that, we will take public testimony, and I believe we have one person signed up for public testimony. Who's signing himself up now? John Provenzano.
Yes, thank you.
But please state your name for the record and any affiliation. John, you have all the
Thank you.
time in the world.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councilors, it's nice to see you. Thank you for your information. When I first got in here, all my adult children are getting close to 60. And I was thinking more of where they all of them own home. Being an ex-union official, I was elected for a few years. When you dealt with the company that you're dealing with, they would all say, all right, if you get this, is that it? And the union official, like myself, would always say, no, there's always more. We need this, we need that in the future. So my question would be, if you could get this back to the mayor at least, Madam Chair, is there any room to help by putting an amendment or anything like that into this program for renters? There's so many in my community, and I happen to be one of them now because unfortunately, without crying on anybody's shoulders, I never realized I would be at a point after I retired, and I've been retired now for quite a while, that it got so hard for me to handle all the bills, the mortgage, and everything else that goes with it, that I finally got to a point where I turned my house over to one of my children that's doing well. Thank God they're all doing well. But so I'm a victim of that thing. And then when I worked down the Curly Recreation Center part-time to get a little more income, I had a couple of people that were elderly, seniors, that came in. They volunteered a few hours. I think it was 3 times a week, maybe 3 hours a day, something like that. I forget the exact amount. But, and it helped them immensely. So my question would be, is there any more room for even renters? In my town, there's so many people that I know my age that are renting that are struggling. They don't even know where they're going to be going. So if they could volunteer and get a little extra income, and naturally it wouldn't be the 1,500, but any small amount would be great. And if we could pass that on to the mayor, I'd love to see that happen, and should get my support. That would be my question. And thank you for letting me speak, Madam Chair.
Thank you, John. I will just say, so for this particular one, because this is an opt-in from, and I'm just going to reference it, so it's Mass General Law, Chapter 59, Section, I think, 5,000. It's a local opt-in statute that allows cities and towns to establish a program allowing persons over the age of 60 to volunteer to provide services to such city or town in exchange for reduced property tax liability. So it's specific in the legislation. But as a renter, I want to thank you for your advocacy for uplifting this. This is something that I was thinking of as well. I'm not sure what that program would look like. I think it would have to be a separate piece of legislation that we either pass through here or it's a home rule petition, but I think it's a really great idea. I don't know if you all wanted to add anything to that.
I would just add that we do have some volunteer programs that Joseph had mentioned earlier that do have stipends for older adults to participate in. Our RSVP program and our Senior Companions program. So there are different ways. And I would say that all of these programs are just different tools in a toolbox, as we said earlier, to try and help older adults with their income. So sometimes it's saving on taxes, or it's saving on food stamps, or different areas to just try and stretch their dollar further.
And those programs are available no matter if you're a renter or a homeowner. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. And I know I mentioned earlier this program released for folks who are house rich and cash poor, but with the cost of living and Social Security not going as far as it used to, these programs are going to become even more vital as we move forward. So I just want to thank you, John, again for uplifting that. We can try to figure something out. Thank you all so much for your work. I think with this, we'll follow up on the public service provision. And for right now, it's going to remain in committee. But I think with future conversations, we could pass this in the near future, as long as we get some of those details ironed out. So with that, this hearing on docket 0256 is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.